thing that we're supposed to be doing right now, based off of our positionality. Like certain kinds of grief work, certain kinds of trauma work, certain kinds of relationships, and certain places our money are supposed to be going. And nothing else really matters. So like, I feel like there's some sort of, I don't know, step-by-step thing that I can sort of like help people localize what kind of activists they already are, or like where they're at in their activism development, so that they can start to make the choices that are absolutely necessary to stay engaged. First of all, people gotta be like really into where their breath's at right now, because if we're breathing a breath pattern that keeps us stuck in freeze or submit or fawn, we ain't gonna do jack shit. Or flight. Fight is like the only one that's somewhat functional right now, but it's also not gonna keep you in the game long, like longevity wise. You can't be in your fight response, which is one of the hardest things to do, to be able to go at a pace. Because if we're in our fight response, we're gonna go too fast, too hard, too soon without planning what our next step's gonna be. So like, if you are part of actions that don't have the next 3 steps to them, like it's probably not worth showing up. You need to be with folks who are doing the like building work. Part of the building work is the awareness work. So if that's your jam, blast it wide and far. But like, there's also those of us that are like in a position where we need to be part of the plan. Like, what's your plan for your community? What's your plan for your finances? What's your plan for your family? Like, how does your housing create housing for other people? How does your money create money for other people? Like, and how does like your freedom create freedom for other people? Like, we all have way more than capitalism wants to make us think we have. Like, I think what we're doing, like emotional scuba diving, or actually like snorkeling, where you have to take like a really deep breath and dive to a place where your body gets like really, really, really tight underneath the water and you can hardly breathe, but you still can. And at that point, that's where you gotta like start looking around and being like, what's at the base of every single choice that I'm making right now? Every single dollar that I'm spending right now. Like, slow down enough that you're going all the way to the root of every single choice. Did it come from some abuser that told you to behave that way? Are you behaving in alignment with like a system that is keeping your brothers and sisters and siblings of multiple identities like held back? So it is suffocating when you find out how many choices, particularly from positions of privilege, that you make without even fucking thinking about them and without even calculating their impact. And yes, we need to get that hypersensitive. It's not too sensitive. It is like the necessity of the sensitivity to be able to like actually be in resonance with the pain of the folks, including your own ancestors, who have suffered, but in proportion to their present moment day suffering and how that's playing out. When I was like studying epigenetics and also like holding that in the same space as like understandings from multiple indigenous practices, that we are constantly a representation of our 7 generations back and 7 generations forward. We need to be in relationship where all of those relationships are honored and created enough space for. So literally, when we step into space, if my family, as I know, has direct perpetration to people of color, up until my mom and my dad, through objectification, through villainization, and then like because of my history of having had folks in my history be like slave owners and folks who did not stand up. I don't have folks who've done activism in the family. Somewhere deep inside of my weird epigenetics, my family took pleasure in commodifying people of color's bodies. That fucking sucks to feel. Someone took pleasure in whipping a black body in my body. And so like, even though I'm like this many generations forward, I have to be able to hold that grief and stay present enough with the fact that I will do nothing, not even like a fragment of any sort of mentality, breath pattern, movement pattern, choice pattern in relationship with anybody who has that history. Otherwise, I will be re-victimizing them. That's the level of work that we gotta do. Every single fucking layer, for every single positionality that we've ever held privilege in, we gotta go there. And it's painful, and it's like, blah, 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 is necessary. So dive deep into your own trauma work, because it ain't centered. If you're a white person that's got a trauma history, that is like one layer of the many layers. And yes, if those traumas that you've experienced were perpetuated by misogyny and patriarchy and capitalism and all of the other things that keep all of us oppressed, tack on also understanding that that's a certain level, and like if you tack on racism to that and colorism to that, xenophobia to that, there you can then position how much work there is to do. So if you've got a smaller circle of work to do, hustle. And I recognize that I am saying this from a position that could be perceived as ableist, because yes, I am white. Yes, I'm highly educated. Yes, I have a lot of access to social means in relative to the rest of the world. I fully understand that. And so we all have to do it in the proportion to which we have access to do it, and do it to that extent all the time to keep pushing our capacity to be able to grow in relationship with each other.